butt heads. And for some of you, that may be literal, right? What does agape love look like? I've chosen one passage, Romans chapter 13. There's so many passages that I could use. Romans 13 and verse 8 says, "Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another." Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. You know, if I were to put this in context, the first part of Romans 13, as all of you are biblical scholars, and I'm sure you've already had this memorized, is dealing with the government and the relationship of the citizen to the government, giving them their due, paying your taxes, giving them the respect to which they owe and which they are deserved. But then he transitions with this remarkable statement of owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. Simple question. Do you treat others the way that you treat them? Individually or corporately because that you love them? Or do you treat them as you treat them because you want something from them? I told my mom, I said, "I'm going to talk about you this morning, Mom." I said, "I'm going to tell them about the girl from Cage's Mountain who carried water out of the creek and drew it from a well." She said, "Oh no." See, because Mom didn't love perfectly. I don't love perfectly. And you know, she still to this day can't see it the way that I see it, but she did love. She had all kinds, and still has all kinds, of hardships and regrets and baggage that she carries. We all do we not? But in spite of all that, she loved as best that she knew how. She loved as imperfect as it was still a love. And when I was in the midst of it, I didn't see it, I didn't know it. But looking back, I do. You know, sometimes it is the little things, the simple things. It was something that she did that I mentioned to her, and she didn't even remember that she did it. She worked the night shift at a mill. It was I think it was a cotton mill because she had those little sharp, snippy things, and she wore a kind of a long apron type jacket. You know, one of those you put it on. It's just very light cotton and it had pockets in it that you keep your various little working tools in. Of course, during the summer months, she would get home before we were up, and she would be asleep once we got up. Though quite often I would go to that apron, and on the way out of the mill in the early morning hours, she would take some coins, put it in the vending machine, get a treat, put it in the pocket of that apron, and hang it on the peg where it stayed. And when I would get up, I would check that pocket and find a treat. Not all the time, it wasn't every time, but that meant so much to me. I particularly like those little striped chewy coconut things. I found one lately and I bought it and I ate it and I kind of, oh, why did I like this? They changed the recipe. Something went wrong or my taste bud changed. One of the two. You know, was that a big deal? You bet you it was. Did it cost much? Well, cost is relative, isn't it? But I knew that it was her way of expressing love to her child. Now, what did I know at the time? I knew that I liked sweets, and I knew that Mama put them in her pocket, and I knew that I was glad that she did. Did I take that out and say, oh, Mama loves me? No, like I said, we didn't have that vernacular. We didn't say that. I didn't think it. I didn't say it, but in my heart I knew it. Show love. Owe nothing to anyone but to love one another. How transformative would that be if we could do that as an individual? And if we could do that as a family, if we could do that as a church, if we could do that as a community, if everything that we did, everything that we said, everything that we acted out upon was based on I love you. What on earth does that mean? That means that I want the best for you. You know, there is no greater love than to show the way of truth, to let love replace fear, to let light replace darkness. You know, because we have so corrupted the word that it becomes less than it should be. If we love, we're going to want to point ours, those that God has given us, to God who is love. Sitting over here in the car with Peggy and my two daughters. Do I love them? Of course I do. What does that look like? Well, it looks like many, many things in many, many ways in many, many different circumstances. But first and foremost and primarily, that means I want to do all that I can do to point them to the one who is love. And I can only do that if I am baptized in Him who is love. I can't share love if I don't have love. I can't teach love if I don't know love. Now I can talk about it, but it will not ring true. I will do it a disservice. And as I stand here and present these words, it is my heart and my prayer just to simply to encourage you to examine your own heart. And I know as I look across, and some of you I know well, and some of you not as well, but I know each of you have your stories. And for this, some of you, it is a painful thing. Because you have wanted to love and not known how. Or you have wanted to be loved and not have received it as you should. But let me just say to you, in spite of whatever circumstance you may have gone through or are in at this moment, you can still love. You know, the examples that just pop into my mind are numerous. But one thing that does strike me is how often our lives are changed by one simple choice. Think back to the story of the book of Ruth. When was Ruth's life changed? Her life was changed that moment when she chose to go back to Israel with her mother-in-law, Naomi. when she said to her, your God is my God. Your people are my people. I identify with you. Naomi, I love you. And because I love you, I love the God that you have shown me. I love the people that you have told me about. Naomi, I am going back with you. And that dear lady, because she loved Naomi, was grafted into the line of Christ. She is the mother of Jesse, the grandmother of the first King David. You will never regret loving. That will hurt. And sometimes it will not be reciprocated. And sometimes it will be misunderstood. And sometimes it will be totally and completely ignored by those that you are attempting to love. But you will be the better for it. Why? Because you have become more like the Father. You have walked in the steps of Christ. Christ, of course, is the most pure example of what agape love looks like. Who loved and it was not returned. And even when it was returned, it was returned at a lesser level because those that he was loving did not have the tools to give that love back. Why was Christ abandoned during his darkest hour? It was fear. Oh, we didn't want this. Wait a minute. No. This isn't what love's supposed to look like. Your Lord, you're supposed to be king. You're supposed to be on the throne. You're supposed to be making everything right. And there they are beating you. And now they're holding you on trial. Lord, they're going to crucify you. Lord, this can't be. And we run. But those dear ones who failed in love grew to know love. And Christ honored them to say, you will have opportunity to lay down your life. You will have opportunity to love as I have loved. And so did they. Are you here this morning and your heart is heavy with regret? Oh, I wish that I could love like that. Or, oh, I've blown it so bad that my opportunity is past. No, it hasn't, and I know it hasn't, and the reason I know it hasn't is because you are still here. There's still breath in your lungs. You can still love. No matter how much baggage, no matter how many regrets, no matter how many tears you have cried, God loves you, and He is going to give you an opportunity to show that love. Find somebody to love. Some rock song just popped in my mind, and I can't remember what it is. Parents love your children, absolutely, of course. Children love your parents, absolutely, of course. But let us love one another to the best of our ability. Owe nothing to anyone, Romans 13, verse 8, except to love one another. For he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. Ah, the magnitude of that statement. You know, how about we take the rest of the day? I mean, you don't have anything else going on, I know. And we'll just read through the law. We'll go through Leviticus, we'll go through Deuteronomy, we'll throw in Exodus. You know, the book of Numbers, which is more historical, but it has some law in there. You know what we would be by the end of that time? Overwhelmed. Whoa, wait a minute. What about this? We would have so many questions, and books will be written, and books have been written on the law Oh, and how twisted it gets and how complicated it gets. And yeah, but what about this circumstance? Or what about that circumstance? And we would ask questions and it would go for the rest of our life and we still wouldn't know what the law requires. Kind of like the coronavirus requirements. What are they? I don't know. But do you see what God just said? Does that mean we ignore the law? No, of course not. It means that we interpret it through the eyes of love and knowing in our hearts, because God just told us, if I love my neighbor, then I have fulfilled the law. But it can't just be, oh, I love you. Oh, how lightly you throw the words. Let them have meaning. Let them have heart. Let them have context. And to the best of your ability, to love as He loves. An unconditional love. A free, I don't care what it costs me, love. A love that is going to be shared even when it is ignored or spurned or ridiculed or misunderstood. He goes on to say, he lists some of the laws. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. You shall not covet. And if there's any other commandment that is summed up in this saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. It says if we do this, what will happen? We'll lay aside the deeds of darkness, is verse 12, and put on the armor of light. It's a hard thing when you reach a place and not knowing what to do. We've all been there. A husband says to a wife, or a wife says to a husband, oh, I love you, but I don't feel that love. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can, but I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to live that out. I don't know how to make this better. Or it could be the same with a parent to a child. I'm at my wit's end. I don't know where to go. This is driving me crazy. I've done everything I know to do, and I just can't go on. I don't know where to turn, how to do this. Whether it is in a family, whether it's in a church, whether it's in a community. When we reach that point, if we can say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to love for love's sake. And pray that earnest prayer, Father, show me how to love. Show me what it looks like. Show me how I can live it out. You will find yourself going from that darkness into His light. You will find that the fear gives way to peace. Your pain doesn't go away, but Christ will step along beside you and He will wrap up and you will share that pain because He felt that same pain that you felt. And you can go on Him. Mothers, I will conclude. I told Peggy, this is Mother's Day. You need to preach. So, here am I, a man who, doesn't understand. Uh, I don't understand my own wife, much less y'all. I'm still figuring this out. But I can say, on the authority of what He has said, He loves you. And I thank you for sharing that love with which He loves you with your children. And not only with your children, there are some of you that are loving others out there. This doesn't apply just to parent-child, child-to-parent. This applies to every relationship. I thank God for that man I mentioned back at the beginning of the message. Don't even know who he is, what he looks like, whether he's alive still or not. But he stood that one day and he taught and he spoke and he said a truth that spoke to me. That was an act of love. And that love transformed my life in a way that still is lived out. So let your love be grounded in truth. Let that truth be communicated. Let that love be challenged. Let that love be tried so as by fire. Let it be real. Because the love that He has for you is real. And those around you will be drawn to the light of His truth. And they will pass on the light of that truth. We are gathered here this day because of those that have loved, or those who have sacrificed, those who have given. I stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before. And I pray that I, in some small measure, will show His love to you so that you, in turn, can share it with those around you. Let's close in prayer. Heavenly Father, I do pray that you would show us what love looks like. Lord, I pray that we would reach out and open our heart to receive your love. But Lord, to do so, we have to open our heart and love to you. So I ask that you, at this moment, as you stated that you would, reach down, heal the brokenhearted. That you would go into the wilderness of our souls and bring back the lost sheep. That you would comfort those that are doubting and speak truth into their heart, into their soul. Bless us now. Draw us unto yourself. Bless each mother that is here. Make this a precious and special day to them. And Lord, thank you for it all in Jesus' name. Amen. We're going to sing in a moment. If I could get my pianist and worship director out here again. Great is thy faithfulness. So I'd like to, while they transition, just give you a moment. I want to ask something of you. What is a way that you can show the love of God to another this day? Is there someone, maybe it's a wrong that you need to make right, or maybe it's a barrier that you need to take down, maybe it's a call that you need to make, maybe it's forgiveness that you need to offer or receive. So I would challenge you. Find a way this day that you can make this truth real. Because we can talk about it all day long. And that's needful and that's helpful. But it's only real. It only matters when we live it. So let it be real to you. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence and cheer and guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow, blessings all mine and thousands beside. So this songwriter, what was he writing about? The faithfulness of God, the love of God. So listen and you remember the words, sing along with us. I want to close out here, and we tagged the preliminary stuff on the end of the service for the sake of those that are tuning in. Let me thank each one that is out there in the other side of the camera and is taking time to watch this. I do not take that for granted. Appreciate it. Hope it's been a blessing and encouragement to you. 2 weeks ago we did a Zoom meeting at the preliminary of the youth group. If you are able to and could access that, I would ask you to do that again this week. Just kind of talk through, because we're kind of in this gray area of okay, when do we start back? What does it look like when we start back? But whether you can do that, or if you just want to call me, or if you want to text me, or put a Facebook message on our church Facebook. And Peggy, I'm going to ask you because you'll have to tell me, hey, this is a message, you need to read it. I'm being drug into this technological world, kicking and screaming and very slowly. But I still, if you send me an email, you have to call me and say, hey, check your email because I could go weeks and not see it if you don't. I'm afraid, which my children chastise me for. But so if you can log in on the Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock, we'll take the first part of the youth group and just kind of discuss again. We did this a couple weeks ago. Where are you about the calendar-wise? When we reopen and then have church in the auditorium again, or if you can't do that, or in any other mode. Again, I don't have an agenda. I don't. I just want to know your heart, your comfort zone, and because this comes to it, our church is a family, and this is I want to handle this as a family situation, which means you get input and I get input. You're not going to make me mad, no matter what your opinion may be, and because we love each other, we can thought this through. So I appreciate that. If you do that, and then right after that, we'll do youth group. Had a good youth group this past week. Kind of unusual. Had a good time. So you can go ahead and log in. We're going to hear from you. And at the end, we'll do a short online youth group again. Uh, the other announcements, Ladies Sunday School meets 9:45 each Sunday morning on Zoom until we're able to meet in here again. And then are you still going to 1 o'clock Friday afternoon? 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, Peggy is doing a Zoom meeting with the kids. So I have them log in on that. And I'm not sure any other announcements we can. I think that was it. So God bless y'all. Thank the Lord for a beautiful day and sunshine, and the wind didn't blow us off today, so I appreciate that. Mothers, happy Mother's Day blessing upon all of you. God bless you, and thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful rest of the day. I love y'all, and see you soon.